Welcome to Date Like a French Woman, the podcast where we approach dating as a sacred healing journey rather than a quest.
Yay!
Welcome to a new episode of Date Like a French Woman, the podcast to teach you how to approach dating more like a healing journey rather than a quest. And as promised, I'm bringing you experts every month or maybe more often than that. And I really want to bring you many experts that may talk about the same thing, but as you know, we resonate differently with people. So I really want to find the person that you resonate with. So today I have Eyenie with me, who's going to talk about image and beauty and style. Eyenie Schultz, aka Technicolor Priestess, is a style alchemist and an iconic presence expert who helps avant-garde badass women to express their essence fully from the inside out so they can finally show up as the iconic visionaries that they are. She believes that personal style is sacred and that when elevated, it helps raise consciousness and can create real magic in all the areas of your life. And I absolutely resonate with that. Good morning, Eyenie. How are you?
Hello, I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
I'm really glad to talk to you. And what I didn't tell you guys is that Eyenie is living in France, my country of origin. I wouldn't say the capital of style, but definitely a big destination for style and image, right?
Absolutely. Yes, we did a swap
Yeah.
here. Yes, yeah.
Where do you live? I forgot.
So I live in the south of France near
Oh,
Toulouse.
okay. So it may
Hmm.
make people dream.
Yes, it's beautiful here.
Yeah. Um, what I would like to ask you is how did you end up becoming the Technicolor Priestess? What was your journey?
Oh, yes. That's a big question. I'm just kidding. I like it. Let's go. Let's get in there. So essentially from a very early age, I was obsessed with aesthetics and beauty and finding beauty in the unexpected, or showing, just it translated into lots of areas, but also one of the areas was I always saw these amazing things in people and just really felt a craving to bring it out in them. So all my friends, all my cousins, my grandmother, everybody has had a makeover by me. So I used to do makeovers on everyone, my college roommates, everything, because it just always felt so amazing for me, to show them how amazing they were, to put them together in a way that could allow them to see it. So that's just something I did. And at the same time, I suffered from wanting to be invisible because I thought I was totally unworthy. I thought I was hideous. I thought I was wrong and undeserving. So all of that excitement and expression, I put it onto other people and never kept any for myself. So I did everything
Oh,
to make myself the opposite, right?
wow.
So yeah. And it was really hurtful, and it was almost like I wanted what I was doing to other people, right? But I wouldn't allow myself to do that. So eventually, I went the corporate route. I did everything I thought I was supposed to do to be successful. I wasn't happy doing it. So when I was pregnant with my tiny dancer in the middle of nowhere in France, in Ariège, I
Wow.
decided, you know what? I want to be the kind of mom who, for this little girl who really is living her dream and doing something that is exciting and not feeling like she's wasting her life. So that's sort of when my official coaching, this whole journey began. And I went through many iterations. I really resisted the style thing because I had a stigma about it. I thought it was too fluffy, and I wanted to be considered, smart and intelligent and
Yeah.
intellectual. Um, so I really fought it, but eventually, after years, I came back around and now have made it my own. So I incorporate all the healing I used on myself, so it's energy healing, it's
Yeah.
style, it's mindset, it's everything I used to now be visible and now actually love myself unconditionally and express my essence in a way that feels amazing.
It's beautiful. And what I noticed is that very early, when you became a mom, you realize that, first of all, it's a huge responsibility and we are models. So
Yeah,
whatever you don't give yourself permission to do, you teach your daughter that she doesn't have permission to do. So the kudos
absolutely.
for realizing that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm grateful that happened too.
And as far as fashion and image and the superficial association that we have with that, I know what you mean, especially in France, because in France it's very present. I mean,
Yeah,
the way I experienced it. But it can also be a way for people to look at you and categorize you. You are
yeah.
either an intellectual or you are, those women who are pretty and have nothing in their head.
Mm,
So it's beautiful that you were able to mix the two to come back to wholeness because that's what you
yes.
need.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. And that's something that I've sort of, and I feel like the more, because for me, it boils down to allowing ourselves to be everything, to be all that we are. You don't have to choose. You don't have to choose to
Yes,
be the trendy one who's like always shopping. You don't have to choose to be the severe, angry intellectual. You don't have to fit into a stereotype
exactly.
because I tried and it didn't work. So I
Yeah.
know I can relate to so many aspects. I love shopping and being silly and playing dress up. I also love reading and philosophizing and talking about spirituality or whatever.
Yes.
So I feel like the more I've given myself permission to do that, the more other women who want to be more, are giving themselves. They see that, and I've I guess inspired them, or through working with me also, they finally get to give themselves permission to be all of who they are.
And you said you mixed some energy as well in your work. Do you announce that to people? Are they going along with it, or is it more something that you do without saying anything?
But I think people kind of they see that I'm into spirituality, into law of attraction, into quantum physics, all these things. So it's
Yeah.
there, um, but I think people don't quite know what I'm going to do with it. And then when I work with them, they're like, "Holy bananas! I didn't know that was going to happen." So, and I don't think they understand the depth that we're going to go to with this, with just talking, they don't. So when you bring all those things together, it's way more than it's just a physical transformation.
Yeah.
It's integrated. It's holistic.
Can you give me an example of how you mix it together? Like, let's say somebody comes to see you, um, how you mix that spiritual aspect into the guidance that you give them.
Absolutely. So for beginners, it really changed the way I was treating myself and the way I was showing up. Changed when I realized, when I think I discovered someone a while ago who, it was many years ago when I started, who said that and in one of her blog posts, I think she mentioned that in ancient Egyptian, the word for beauty was actually meant close to the heavens.
Wow.
So for me, I was like,
Wow.
oh, that was like a big revelation. Like, it's an honoring, it's ritualistic, it's divine to adorn yourself and to love yourself in that way. So that really clicked for me. So I started seeing adorning myself and really caring for myself as part of a ritual,
Hmm.
right? So it's part of my daily rituals. I meditate, I journal, I pray, whatever. And part of that is also tapping into how I'm going to present myself that day and what's going to support me. So what I do also, so the second part of that is I totally do not follow any rules, because society has made those rules and we are so much more than the paradigms that have been created
Yeah.
for us. So I say F that. Can I say bad words on your, can I say fun words on your on your show?
You
I
can.
say fuck that shit. Okay, fuck that shit. Because we're constricted then and we try to fit into some sort of category, and very few of us don't, and it keeps us from connecting to source.
Yeah.
So for me, when you're in energetic alignment, it's also about what you have on your body, that because it carries energy, it creates an energetic flow, or it distorts your connection, right? And your flow.
Yes.
So why not wear things that are going to support your flow and your connection to source?
Oh,
And
that's
you look
beautiful.
really cool doing it.
That's beautiful. So when you see someone, do you get an impression, or do you? So you see them visually. Do you read them also somehow, and you feel who they are, or is that how you proceed?
Yes, so I work with the elements, so
Yeah.
air, water, fire, earth, and space.
Wow.
And basically, so and a lot of people think it's connected to the zodiac. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. Basically, it's the energy that helps us express our essence visually. It's what we lead with visually and
Okay.
energetically, you know, our presence.
Yes.
So when I meet someone, I definitely, because I've been doing this and I sort of channeled this way of doing it, um, I can absolutely, you know, tune in and usually know at least one of the, because I work with two, everyone has a dominate, a primary and an accent element that that really helps them create their unique style.
Oh,
And so I usually, you know, can immediately see the first one or pretty quickly. But I like to co-create. So I don't want to go and say, you're fire in this, and so this is what we're going to do. I really, because it's all in them. So I help ask questions, I help create an experience and guide them to find that answer and to create looks and to actually click into what it feels like to be expressing their energies. So it's sort of like a it's a tag team, but
co-creation.
I'm guiding them.
Um, I don't know, maybe it's impossible, but is there a way for the audience, let's say they listen to you now, to discover what is their primary element, or do you have to do that together?
Well, they can take my quiz. I have a quiz on my
Aha,
website.
perfect.
Aha. Yes. And then another way I do it in person, because we all know there's an inner knowing, right? When our brain is not in the equation anymore and our intuition actually gets to speak up and have a
Yeah,
voice, we know already. So, what I would invite everyone to do right now, if you're listening, is just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and relax your shoulders.
and I'm gonna do it too.
And yeah, and I'm going to say 5 words, and I just want you to blurt out the first one that stands out. It doesn't have to make logical sense. So if I say earth, water, fire, space, air,
Earth.
what jumps out at you? Earth. Okay. So more than likely, that is your first, that is one of your two elements.
Okay.
Okay. And so that's going to define a big part of you. And then your accent element is sort of those other touches you need to kind of balance out the energy. So for some people, it's more intense, the second one, than for others. So then it's just finding your balance between your two energies. So that's essentially what we do to find the energies. We connect to
Okay.
your intuition.
And so you connect to your intuition, you find your primary and secondary element. And what does that mean? Does it is it going to mean something about the style that is going to be the most favorable to you, or
It's not even favorable. It's a style that's going to help you. It's going to support your true nature. These are elements. This is your
okay,
true nature. So if you're, for example, a woman who's, you know, out there dating, this is going to be, so there could be like a version of fire, sexy and seductive or empowered or whatever
yeah,
you want to feel, is going to look very different from the water version of sexy and empowered and seductive.
ah,
Right. So when you can connect to your elements, so a lot of women, they dress beautifully and they have like a lot of the women I meet, they have amazing wardrobes, they have amazing style, but they just don't feel like themselves. And so when they discover their elements and they're bringing in different things or putting them together in a way that actually supports their true nature and amplifies it, then they actually feel held and at home. Does that make sense?
yes. And that would explain. I know for myself, I can dress very, you know, the term woo woo, very
Yes.
new agey, and I love skirts and necklaces and new age and hippie stuff, but I can also be way more formal because I love heels,
Yeah.
I love stilettos. So does it mean that it's because the two elements in me are expressing in different ways?
Yes. Yes. And a lot of times people tend to separate the two and do mostly the one that feels safe or comfortable, the one that maybe they learned when they were growing up was the right way to be, or that was sort of in their family energy, you know, acceptable.
Yes.
So and a lot of times they don't know how to mix the two, because
Yeah.
we want to mix them. We want to create that flow and balance with them to help you really not only be more you, but to really take your style to the next level, right?
Yes.
So from what I'm hearing, so earth is definitely, so what you're, for example, the necklace, the black necklace with the white, bold contrast is very earth. Like you said, stilettos and classic chic cuts, that's very earth. Very simple, very clean, very elegant. And the more woo stuff, right, the flow
Yeah.
and sort of that feminine softness, all those things, that tends to be more water.
That's what I would have said for my second element, but I wasn't sure.
Ah, yes. So when you can put those together, for example, a flowy skirt, like
Yeah,
beautiful flowy skirt, and all your amazing new age jewelry with some kick-ass stilettos and a blazer,
yeah.
oh my God.
And actually, when I do that, I love it because I feel my individuality.
Exactly. Because you don't have to fit in a category. It's when you
Yes.
combine them that you're not categorizable. You really are you.
Yeah.
And
So
that's why I use the term iconic, because then there's no one like you when you use your
exactly, we're
two
so
elements, right?
unique.
Yeah.
There is only one of
Yeah.
us. Um, when you work with women, do you start? So I suspect you start with the inside before you even go into the outside style, or do you alternate in the same first session?
We definitely do connect first about, how they've been showing up, different things, maybe where their challenges and, resistance has been, because a lot of emotions can come up even when connecting with the elements, and maybe embracing an element. Maybe you learned from your parents that you're supposed to be really quiet and shy, but actually
Yeah,
you're fire, so you want to like.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so a lot of women, for example, who are like, I'm fire, but I feel like no one's gonna love me, like a lot can come up, right? Like
yes.
everyone's gonna be scared of me, I'm too much. So a lot does come up. So it happens to be, I definitely talked through that before. And then absolutely during the closet session, or whatever work we happen to be doing, I do a lot of energy clearings and a lot of, energy downloads and things like that, because it really does move a lot of stuff.
Do you have women? I remember I give classes about connecting to your magnificence and feminine. And I remember having them going crazy with boas, feathers boas, and
Yes.
dancing on I Feel Pretty. And I remember there was a woman who worked in television and she was desperate to come out of her own box, but she stayed seated. Do you
Mm.
encounter that a lot where people they want to go but they don't give themselves permission, and because of working with them they finally open the door to that box?
That's pretty much that's my jam. That is what I do.
But
Yeah,
it's so
because for me
sad.
it's all
It's so sad when a woman could express that and she's
and she
staying
doesn't.
stuck.
And I really connect with that, and I feel like that really is part of my, that is what I do, because I used to be that person. I used to be the one who, at school dances would hear a song she loved, and I would go to the bathroom and hide in the stall to dance my heart out. And then
Oh,
because I couldn't dance or be visible to anyone
yes.
in the dance floor. So I know that feeling. And so it's huge and beautiful when someone, yeah, can finally, you can, there's something magical about showing someone, like finally allowing them to understand their elements, understand themselves. Somehow that gives them, they feel then permission. It's like, okay, I am this, and I see it very clearly, and that
Yes.
sort of opens the floodgates.
And when you do energy work with them, do they know after that how to reproduce that for themselves? Do you teach them that? Like,
Yep,
that's
because
fun.
I don't tell people what to wear. We go through their closet and I give cues and prompts and techniques, asking questions. I'm really into access consciousness, so asking
Yes,
questions to help them, and that's helpful too. I'm sitting across the country usually, so they're the ones actually putting the looks together, and they are feeling and clicking into these new possibilities,
that's beautiful.
because yeah, and so they can continue. Then I send them information about their elements so they can get more inspiration, more information, and then they can be creating, different looks, playing using these techniques that I teach them.
And how have you witnessed that it changed all the other areas of their life? Do you have maybe a
Oh yeah.
story or from a client that
Yes, I
you?
have many. So one woman I worked with was petrified, never did videos or posted anything on social media, and after we worked together, it was like her visibility went through the roof. I'm not kidding you. It was
Wow.
night and day. That's something that happens. There's a woman who, right after working with me, she quadrupled her prices. She said, I feel so confident, like I'm embodying this person, so I'm just gonna, for fun, tell this person, this potential client, this price, and they actually signed up for it because she was owning it and just at a different
Yeah,
level vibration.
yeah,
I've had people enter relationships that they've been stuck in because it just, now the contrast is just too big after they really step into themselves. Women go and start dating,
yeah.
or attract
I'm sure.
dates. I mean, so lots of different results. Yeah.
Yeah, because it transpires, and especially in the dating, I mean, when you can embody and be yourself and come with that, because people don't realize that they come in person, but then there is their energy field that is around them, and when you're confident, it's large. I know
Absolutely.
before I give talks, I open my energy wings, and it can fill
Yes.
a stage. So they don't realize how impactful it can become.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love this. It's from a book called hold on, I have to maybe remember the name later. Oh, okay. I'll send you the, I'll say the name after. It's
Yes.
escaping right now, but it basically talks about how even if we don't say anything, what we're thinking and feeling about ourselves, our cells are communicating them to the cells of other people.
Yes.
So if you're like, I'm so frumpy, I feel like shit, I'm so whatever, like no one's gonna ever want to date me, or whatever.
Yeah.
Literally, you're communicating that to other people's cells, whether you
Yeah.
realize it or not. So,
Yeah.
but when you're like, that's why clothing is such an immediate, amazing, instant way to shift that. Because whether you're not happy with your body in that moment, if you're wearing something, you know, that you love, you're like, oh my God, look at me. I look so freaking amazing today. Look at my ass in these jeans or whatever. That's what you're communicating at a cellular
Yeah.
level. So obviously, if your cells are talking to other people's cells, that's going to be much more magnetic, isn't it? And appealing.
Yes.
And
It is.
yeah,
And without even talking about, they say it takes about 30 seconds for somebody to have a judgment about us.
yep,
So the way you present yourself is going to be crucial.
yeah,
Even for, I'm big on self love, about the fact that you want to look your best because you deserve it, because you're magnificent. Um, it,
yeah.
I mean, do you resonate with that too? Like, you owe it to the magnificence in you to shine.
Yes, absolutely. And it just reminds me, like when you're saying that, I just immediately got the as above, so below,
Yes.
as within, so without. So why would it be okay for you to go to school, learn all this amazing shit, do the spiritual work, journal, read all the books, and then be wearing ripped, stained, horrible shit that feels and not taking care of your skin? That just does not align.
Doesn't.
It
Yes.
just doesn't, it doesn't match, right?
Yes.
So and also the way I think people get hung up on, but I don't want to wear stilettos and lipstick, like I'm not like that's, then don't
Yeah.
wear your version of iconic, wear your version of next level, wear whatever makes you feel amazing, even if it's tennis shoes and a t-shirt, but make sure that t-shirt feels amazing and it's totally you, and that those tennis shoes are just comfortable sons of bitches, and that you just like love the color or whatever, right? You'll still be at that vibration. So doing it in your own way, that's very important too.
And what do you tell them for the days when there are up days and down days, and there are days where you don't feel like making much effort today, but still a little bit tapping into that? What your advice on that?
Questions, ask questions. Questions always get me out of the funk. So if I felt amazing about today, if I felt just like the most beautiful woman who has ever fucking graced this planet, what would I wear today? And just even asking that stuff will start like, okay, you know what, I'm going to go, it'll kind of move the energy and start helping you put something together. And then we both know the moment you put on something you wear, it's an instant vibration changer, whether
Yeah.
people realize it or not. It'll change your vibe, and then you'll probably be like, oh my, this outfit's so good, I'm actually going to maybe do something with my hair, or maybe I'm going to try out that cool new lipstick or whatever it is, right? So questions, questions, questions. What would it take for me to love myself enough to spend 5 minutes on how I dress today?
And
What,
maybe
how, what, oh, go ahead.
what would it take for me? Let's say it's a day where you don't want to be too visible because you don't feel like it, to be still beautiful but safe.
Yeah. Yeah. What would support me most today? What
Yeah,
outfit would
that's a
really
great,
support me most today?
fabulous question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's mostly an internal work that you do with them. More,
Honestly, yes. Yeah.
yeah. And
And if it's like, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and the style is sort of like a cool secondary effect, like side effect. You know?
Yeah, because yes. And did you get some people revisiting some maybe memories or events in their life through that process? Because sometimes like I said, staying safe. I had a client who something traumatic happened to her when she was very young, so she didn't want to be visible. So
Yep,
before she could do that, she had to revisit that and heal that. Is that something you
absolutely.
come across?
Absolutely, because that's something I say to people, you know, it's if you have a big fear that you're somehow in danger or that you're going to be, you know, you're unsafe or there's something that you're going to call too much attention to yourself and it's wrong
Yeah,
somehow. If there's a core fear there, you can have the most amazing wardrobe and you're still going to feel like shit
yeah,
because you're not giving yourself permission to feel good because you don't want to feel good because it feels scary, right?
yeah.
So absolutely the internal work is the hugest part, getting down to those fears. That's definitely something I work on with clients. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Um, how do you work? So you work in distant clients, right? You can work over the
So
internet.
absolutely. Yep. I'd say 90% of the work I do is by video call.
Oh, cool.
And then I also do one-on-one work. I have a shopping and photo shoot adventure in Paris, where
Ooh, that
there's
sounds
healing
fun.
and shopping, and yes, it's magical. And then actually, just last week, I did my first group event called "Be the Icon: An Electric Ascension," and I had 7 women from all around the world come, and we did this. We worked on, you know, the energy, their mindset, everything to help them really become iconic. We went shopping here in Albi, where I live. They got total, you know, hair, makeup, all the everything, and then there was a photo shoot on Sunday. So
Nice.
in a group setting, it was just really, really magical transformation. By playing dress up and being silly, we got really deep. So
And
yeah.
it also feeds the little girl in us, because I remember being a little girl and loving to dress up and have tea parties or makeup imaginary events, and so it
Yep.
feeds a part of ourselves that needs to be fed.
Absolutely. And that's, yes, thank you for saying that. And they were all like, and that's like my favorite stuff, you know. And
Yeah.
there are some women who also say, you know, I never learned this from a woman. Like I never
Yes.
got this education. I never had this opportunity. So it can be helpful for that too. If you never got to do that, you finally get to connect with that part of yourself because it's not silly or superficial or fluffy. It really matters.
And do you find that most, because I know I was talking with somebody who's also doing image, and she was mentioning that she loves to dress and she loves the accessories. And I I don't know if it's because I grew up in France or it's just who I am. I love being a woman. I love being able
Mm,
to accessorize. I love being able to wear and change my outfits and really make myself beautiful. But I was surprised to learn that some women feel that it's actually a chore. Do you get that too?
mm. Yeah, and and it's almost, for me, it's almost, it reminds me of like when I was in math class. It depends on what class you're in, right? In math class, that sucked for me. I didn't know how to do it, right? So if you have a wardrobe that you have no idea, it feels like you're clueless. You don't know how to put things together. You haven't
Okay.
figured out what is amazing or what feels amazing on you. It's gonna feel like fucking math class. It's gonna feel like that horrible geometry
Okay.
class, right?
Okay.
But if you're in a class that you love, like it just totally, it doesn't feel like a chore anymore. It doesn't feel like horrible homework anymore. It's actually a pleasure because it's easy because you understand it.
Yeah. So there is that understanding factor that I can totally imagine if you are confused about something, you're scared, that you're stuck. And especially if you don't give yourself permission to play like a little girl because we're raised to be so serious.
Yep,
I can imagine that. Yes, I didn't. Thank
absolutely.
you. Thank you for explaining. I'm big on self love, but not many people have even a notion of where to start, what it means to them. So I love to ask my guests about their own definition of self love so they can give ideas to the audience. What is your definition of self love?
Oh, my definition of self-love is that no matter what circumstance, so it's unconditional. So no matter what the circumstances externally, no matter what the circumstances internally, no matter what, there's no shit talking about myself.
Okay.
Never ever. So
So
it's, for me,
no critic.
no critic, no criticizing. It really is unconditional.
That's great.
Unconditional. So no matter what I messed up, no matter what I didn't do as well as I wanted to, I am still worthy and deserving of love. I don't really allow it to become something that's worthy of judgment. So I think that's okay. There, that's what I want to say. So no judgment, zero judgment, kind of keeping everything neutral. It is what it is, and just that helps me be unconditional.
Okay. And then that leads to another question of mine, because I could hear a question from somebody in my head. But what if you mess up and you continue messing up and there is no judgment? So how do you correct that? Because for me, it's like no judgment as long as I do my best.
Yeah.
If I didn't do my best, then there is something to be tweaked.
Mm-hmm.
But
So there's a difference between judgment and awareness. So
mhm,
for me, it's being aware without the shit talking, without the like,
okay, perfect.
the jab. So it's like, cool, you really, did you do your best? No. Okay, so next time, are you ready to do your best? Yep. What would that look like? It would look like da da da. So judgment versus awareness. And sometimes I ask myself that, is this judgment or is it awareness? How can I shift it into awareness to help me?
Because I know that when you start doing the work on yourself, you can start dissociating the two. When you just start, it's mixed, and you're like, so what? Because I have one of my sisters is always telling me, I always tell her, you need to be able to be grateful for what you have, to be content where you are,
Yeah.
and appreciate life. And her answer was like, if I'm content where I am, I won't want to progress. And that's a wrong
Mm.
notion that people sometimes confuse the two. You can be appreciative of what you have, but still desire more. So
Exactly.
that's
I
why
totally agree with
it
that.
came to my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, I love that. That's exactly what I feel too.
Um, what where can people find you or do your quiz? Because I'm going to go do it too now. I'm curious.
Oh, yay, me too. I'm really curious. So on my website, which is technicolorpriestess.com
And I'll put it in the link.
slash quiz. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll
And
put
so it'll it's a little pop-up.
if there is one last gem or one advice you want to leave people with, what would you tell them?
Oh, the one thing that I wish I had known or that had been implanted into my being from the moment I was born is it really doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It
Oh,
only matters how you feel.
yeah.
That would have changed my life. So
Yeah.
that is the number one thing I teach my daughter. It
Like,
doesn't, you don't care whether it's good or bad, whatever they are criticizing or giving you compliments. It's neutral. It doesn't really matter. Only what you feel about yourself matters. And
and
you get
it's
to choose.
beautiful. It reminded me of Wayne Dyer. I'm sure you know Wayne Dyer, and he
Of
used to
course.
say, "The opinion of others is not my business." And I always
Oh,
try to remember that.
yep. And we think somehow that it is because it has to do with us, but it
Yeah,
actually has nothing to do with us,
yeah,
even if
I
it's
know.
about us, supposedly. So, yeah.
I know. I want to thank you, Eyenie, for giving us the opportunity to talk to you today and giving people the opportunity to go and take your quiz and discover a little bit more about themselves. And maybe they
Yes,
will work with you to express more fully who they are.
absolutely.
What you're doing is fabulous, because you're doing really the internal work as well. And it is so important. And in my opinion, if everybody was doing that work, I'm sure there would be more peace in the world.
Mm. Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. And thank you for the amazing, beautiful work you're doing too. So, and I'm so honored to have been on this show with you.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And
Thank
for our
you.
audience, go and take her quiz. And we'll be here next week with another topic, alone or with a guest. I don't know yet. Bye for now, and love yourself. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. And for questions, information, or to book a free 30-minute introductory coaching session, please visit datelikeafrenchwoman.com.